This is where the fun begins.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And
Right.
It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story and continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Are you sure? So be it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel, OG Star Wars. I am your host, Alora, and I'm so happy to be here with you this morning for our Thursday morning Caf Chat, where we gather and chat and nerd out about George Lucas' era of Star Wars. And, you know, I always look forward to this every single week. Even when, you know, I'm not producing much content, this is the most important show for the channel. It's Caf Chat. And sometimes Cantina Nights or Cantina Nights. When I absolutely feel like, oh, we need to do some chat in the evening time, that is another show that's a sister show to Caf Chat. And as always, what's in your mug? So what are you sipping on? Of course, it's 9 a.m. here where I live. And so I have my cup of caf. But wherever you're at, what are you enjoying? Are you enjoying a cup of caf? Are you enjoying something different? Maybe something with a little bit more spirit? Who knows? But what are you enjoying? And I see everybody's hopping on now. You guys are amazing. It's early here where I'm at, and most places everybody's either at work or maybe on lunch break or something like that. So I am so thankful that you guys are continuing to come in to hang out with me and chat up George Lucas era of Star Wars. That's amazing. You guys are friggin' amazing. Yeah, I have a lot of gratitude. I do. So but today we are going to chat. We're going to finish up the Sith armor and combat section of the Book of Siths. So we're going into Sith lore, continuing that. Last week we went more into a Halloween themed, which was fun. Thank you guys for tuning in for that. And then we are also going to basically, talk about a Lucas fact and book of the week, and get into Cringe Factor, which is quite interesting. This Cringe Factor popped up as, like coincidental. I don't know. I'm reading New Jedi Order. So basically, if you've seen me post or you've seen the thumbnail, basically Disney or maybe the writer from Screen Rant, maybe both. So this assumption is Disney did this first with doing something that George never has done with extra-galactic events and species, I guess you can say. So yeah, I find it kind of funny that this pops up as I'm reading New Jedi Order. I'm on book 4. Book 4, I'm on Hero's Trial of the Agents of Chaos 1. And so very good read. I'm going into Han Solo's basically his story and what he's doing to cope with Chewie's death. And I just read through the funeral. So that was a heartbreaking part right there. So the memorial wasn't a funeral, it was memorial services, whatever. So, but before we get started, I know I was rambling a little bit, just updating you guys and saying thank you. Please hit the like button. Become a subscriber if you're here browsing. And become a channel member. Become a channel member. I don't push channel memberships a lot because I don't know. It's just something I don't do. It's not that I don't want channel members. It's just something that I just don't organically do all the time. So become a channel member. Support the channel by any means necessary. Jeez, it sounds like a campaign. By any means necessary, we will be number one. So I am tired of politics and all that now. I'm glad the elections are over, but we're not getting into that ballpark there because that's not what this is about. All right, so let's see who's in the chat before we get started. And I haven't seen Soul Assassin yet, but we do have Star Wars Marble Purist. Force choke that like button, and on your way in, the stream is about to get is brought to you Ghostwriter free. If I could read. The stream is made in America as lightsabers should be. And it's very authentic because I'm Native American. So man, that's a double stamp right there, right? In Star Wars Scran. Hello. And then Iron Inquisitor, always great to see you. He's always on top of his game when it comes to finding resources and stuff. And I thank you so much for sharing when you do. Star Wars Luke of UK. Hey, you guys. Hey, what's up? And channel member here, Melissa Lord. How are you doing? And let's see here. And Anakin Batsy's here. Hello. And then Captain Marvel. Caffeine Kennedy. Oh, that's funny. All right. And I'm trying out this little circular display of my avatar here. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it's like by myself. If I don't have any guests, I like it. But when I have guests, I'll probably just put it back to its normal square, I guess you could say, factory settings, I guess you could say. Reading is too hard. That's so sad. Let's see here. And Mike is here, very happy with how things turned out in Ohio. Trump's political career is literally the original trilogy. Interesting. Yeah, I see a lot of memes about that. And let's see here. Jim the Despot is here. Hello. And Tommy Doyle, how are you doing? You're missing the H in my name, but I understand because my name is very, very, well, not very, very, but how it sounds phonetically and how you spell it are two different things, right? Let's see here. Slow down. All right. I had to stop and reread font half of Victor Prime for Saturday. Ah, yeah. Read front. Yeah. Yeah, we are going, and speaking of that, Saturday, I think it's going to be 3 my time. I have to take a look. We are going to have the review, the discussion of Vector Prime New Jedi Order on Star Wars Marvel Pierce's channel. So check that out. Come hang out with us. Even if you have not read it, come hang out with us. Come hang out with us. So there we go. And people are still popping on. And let's see here. Shoot text here. And what else is going on? All right. And I recently had surgery on my lip from the carcinoma. There we go. Sorry. Carcinoma. So that was painful. Well, I'm glad you had that taken care of. I'll try to finish Rogue Squadron via audio book. I'm a loud reader and I'll have to heal up. I'm loving book 1. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay and surgery went well. Yeah. Let's see here. Started slow, but it's getting intense now. Yeah. So the Rogue series, it's not 2 series like Disney states it is or has people thinking it is, because of now they're taking privileges of making it, book 1 through 3 or something like that, Rogue, and then 4 through 6, the Wraith Squadron. So they're all one series. They're the X-Wing series, not necessarily Rogue series, but they're the X-Wing series. X-Wings for a reason, because both squadrons who were founded basically by Wedge and Luke. Luke was the founder. Wedge was the secondary founder of Rogue. Luke stepped down and, and then gave Wedge the sole command of the Rogues. And Luke is an honorary leader, so whenever he wants to fly, then he gets, most likely he gets the honorary lead for the Rogues. So that's very interesting. Not trying to spoil it for you. I'm just giving you a bit of history. So, and then Wraith Squadron basically was a necessity that they wanted a secondary squadron that has unique talents, I guess you could say, which I am actually listening to, because as I'm reading Hero's Trial, because I'm just this big of a nerd right now, I am listening to and critiquing to see if there's any changes in the unabridged version of Iron Fist that came out with the Essential Legends label on Audible. And because I'm always doing that. I'm always saying, okay, so are they taking out any information? Are they rewriting parts of the story in here when they do this under Disney? So I'm doing that. So I'm listening to Iron Fist right now as well. I just began it. And so we have both of those squadrons that were founded by Wedge, one with Luke, one out as a intelligence type squadron that with pilots that have unique talents. And I'd say that with I'm not trying to sound mean, but no, well, no, it's not mean either. But they do have unique talents from their experiences, who are significant pilots as well. So it's very, very interesting to say the least. Very, very interesting. Let's see here. The only two to survive the first Death Star run, right? And then Wedge, the second one. Yep. So he has 2 Death Stars under his belt, I guess you could say, are marked on his helmet and on his X-Wing, right? Because they do have those markings on their X-Wings too. So very, very interesting. So that's what I am doing right now on top of like other things. Let's see here. And we have Knights of Undercover here. And then we have Matt G. Taylor Swift should have a run as a third party. That's so funny. I love that. Hello there. How you doing? All right. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk Lucas Fact before we get into our lore portion of the program. So let's go ahead and do that. That would be great. And thank you. I was telling Soul Assassin that I haven't looked up a fact yet for Lucas Fact. And so he basically, bam, he's so good at finding things, and he provided this for me. So let's go ahead, and I want to play this clip first because I forgot about it last time. Where did it go? Where did you go? Here you go.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
And here it is. So thank you, Soul Assassin. Is like, I was like, I need to find one, blah, blah, blah. And he came up with this one right here. So according to George Lucas, Obi-Wan's hiding in the Geonosis asteroid field teaches young Boba Fett a lesson that he uses to his advantage during adulthood. So what do you think that is? Having learned how Obi-Wan hid from him and his father, Boba Fett knows the trick Han Solo is using in The Empire Strikes Back and is able to find him. So you know what this is about. So this goes when they're in the asteroid field and Obi-Wan hides from Jango and Boba. And then later on in Empire Strikes Back, it's when Han attaches himself to the Star Destroyer, and then once everything's clear and they dump their the debris, their garbage basically, they take off. And so Boba Fett anticipates that. And then so he pursues them. So there's that. So that's very interesting right there. So that little fact there. And that interview with Ian McCaig that was displayed, it was on starwars.com, and then all other pop culture news sources had reported about it as well. And he talks about how Obi-Wan was really a young Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan was the master. Qui-Gon was the apprentice. And so when Obi-Wan got killed, Qui-Gon took his identity, which sounds very fishy, funny. Doesn't sound like something the council would allow. Not only did, this young Qui-Gon take on the mission that says you need to train Anakin. He's like, oh, I'm going to take your name too then. And, from there became Obi-Wan, which all my resources that I researched, and I shared, one of them with Tim and stuff like that. And he's the one who publicly shared on Twitter and stuff like that, and then discussed it Friday. Sorry, you guys, Friday, the Thursday night and into Friday, I started going downhill with the stomach flu. My stomach was hurting. I wasn't feeling good. So from there, I didn't go on the spacing with him and Justin. So, but they did talk about that. And my research and also Tim's research, so both of ours were back to back, or going on at the same time. Could not find anything. I looked up my the Art of Star Wars for the Phantom Menace, my archives. I researched for the scripts, and nothing leads into that. So either he didn't fully remember, or maybe this is just another way of changing how everybody looks at the relationship with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan when it comes to apprentice taking names. And I'll just say the callback to the Rise of Palpatine, where Rey takes Luke's last name. So, I'm very suspicious when things like this are said years after, the sale of Star Wars to Disney or even Lucasfilm. And all of a sudden, this news comes out where, why wasn't it talked about before? You had how many years now? Like 25 years to talk about this. But now all of a sudden it's a thing. So I'm very suspicious when stuff like this happens, because Lucasfilm for Star Wars and the development movie-wise or even EU-wise, Star Wars in general, when an interesting fact comes out, it's discussed and it's shown. And then George usually comes on screen and talks about what he was doing, or one of his associates come on screen and says, this is what we were thinking about, but it doesn't sound right. It doesn't fit right or whatever. And so I was very suspicious about that. So that right there too is, I just wanted to talk brief upon that. So then we have Jack of all casuals here. How are you doing? Then we have Conrado here. Yeah, so I just wanted to give my 2 cents on there. And there is my homie. Hey, how are you doing? All right. I was like, what is your avatar? I love it. I love your avatar. Yes, I just wanted to get that, get a little chat about that. I know maybe some of you guys have seen some channels talk about that. I know bigger channels like Star Wars Theory has, and a lot of little smaller channels have as well. But none of them has done their research. And that's alarming to me, how many people will take things as facts and not look into them further and see, like, even if the facts were true, look into them anyways, because then you might find something more to the story. You're like, oh shit, they left this out. Okay, I'm going to talk about this. It's all factual, but this part was left out, which makes it more solidified. Or, oh shit, no, I can't find anything. Where did they come up with this and stuff like that? So you can either debunk or solidify the fact. And so that's me. But I used to be a background investigator. I used to collect information about people and go to the courthouses and other legal facilities and stuff, and having to look up people's information. They had to prove to me, like, what the information they gave to me, then they have to, they had to be proven worthy of a gaming license and stuff, per all the stipulations that that were in front of me for that gaming license. And so if they're like, oh, I settled this and this and this, but then again, they lied to me and I pulled up something they didn't divulge, so I had to search and I had to get into this person's life, and it was very confidential, of course. And so I think it's fascinating to look at something, even if you trust the person or, or whatever, and they're talking about some facts of some situation like Star Wars, I guess you could say, because we're talking about Star Wars. I want to look into it further because I'm curious. I want to know more. And people hate that about me when it comes to Star Wars, especially on Twitter. People fucking hate that about me. It's like, I'm just proving information, whether it's true or not. You should be thankful that you're not ignorant anymore. I'm sorry, that was fucking blunt. You should be thankful you're not ignorant anymore because of me, because I did the work for you. Oh my God. But yeah, so there's that. We have 40 people in the chat. Wow, you guys are amazing. All right. Trump not even sworn in and still had to sneak back into the country already. Oh my God. Let's see. The Obi-Wan Qui-Gon I heard came from Reddit. I hear it being legit and questionable. Yeah, so I linked it back to starwars.com as well. So an interview. I have to go back and take a look to see the date on it. But yeah, so it's questionable. And people, like I said, question everything and research. Question everything and research. Books I recommend for that. We'll get into our lore talk here pretty quick. I'm just on my nice little tangents here. Books to resources to have. All the making of Star Wars. If you can get a hold of the DVDs with the videos of them, you can even find them on YouTube. You can get them book form. Book form is interesting because book form has more to it. And then, of course, I said the archives. Any type of concept art related to the movies are the greater Star Wars universe. Those are some valuable resources there. And even like the annotated screenplay for the original trilogy. And then looking up any of the existing scripts that George allowed to be published. And those are valuable resources to your arsenal when it comes to George Lucas era of Star Wars. And then you have, like, for the EU, you have the Essentials Reader's Guide, which is one of maybe the only thing I praise of Pablo Hidalgo's ever. And then you have the one with the comics, Essential Comics 1-2. So you have these resources. And you don't really need to rely on Wikipedia, which has become a garbage mess, if you have those resources, because basically what Wikipedia does is take those resources and just writes them down. And then they go in there and change when they feel it's not meeting what they think that should be met. I have been involved in, I think Scran was involved with this too. We were both involved in this situation where a Wikipedia editor was like, no, it's not supposed to be this way, and went and changed it, even though we've proven time and time again that that's what that scenario, that's how it happened. So they come in with an agenda instead of just staying with the facts of the creation of the Star Wars and the content. All right, so I think I'm done there now. Smash the like button, yes. And then Moo Ding was right. I don't know what that is. And there you go. I'm always recommending thrift books. Last week we talked about the Goosebumps, the Fear, Galaxy of Fear. And Thrift Books has them there. So if you don't have Galaxy of Fear in series in your library, go there and find them. You can get some good deals there. Yeah, we do have, hello, TJ Carr. We do have so many resources to go to. And I want to help you guys with that. And I also want to be like one of them where you could say, hey, Laura, if you don't have them, or anybody like Tim or anybody who has this resource in front of them, can you research this for me? I might give you like a price for my time. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. Star Wars Marvel Pierce says, been using Essential Reader's Guide and Jedi versus Sith. That's another great one. Jedi versus Sith, Essential Guide to the Force a lot recently. Yes. There we go. And Wikipedia is acting like Wikipedia and editing whatever they like. Yeah, that's what's going on. And I don't know about now, but when I was in college, I have my AA in studio art. When I would have to write papers and stuff like that, they would tell us, do not use Wikipedia because they are not a reliable source. So if we see you citing them, you know that we will not take your paper when it's a research paper. So that's how I am looking at Wikipedia as. You know, so, and when people get at me on Twitter and then they source source or they cite Wookiee, it's hilarious. I'm like, that's all you have is Wikipedia. Do you know how such a mess they are in their record keeping and stuff like that? So don't use them. Oh, the baby hippo. Okay. Yeah, I think one of my friends in booty yoga that I stayed with when we went through training, she loves that baby hippo. Okay, I almost forgot about the name. Hello. And then Galaxy of Fear unabridged on yes, and that why Young Jedi Knights audio YouTube channel, audiobooks, I would say audiobooks YouTube channel. They are amazing. So the Young Jedi Knight YouTube channel, check them out. Go subscribe, support. Let's see here. Melissa Lord says that's what all my professors said. Laugh out loud. Wiki is not a real source. I will read the biblio first, and if I see wiki, automatic F and laugh my ass off. Yes, exactly. So you know what I'm talking about. All right, so let's get into this here. I'm gonna read this here, and then we're gonna get into our continuing on. So with this, from what we left on 2 weeks ago. So if you have your Book of Sith, grab it. I'm giving you time. Soul Assassin. I remember reading the Wookiee for hours as a kid. Yeah, back then it was good. It was in good faith because Disney has not bought the property, right? You see this pattern of everything going downhill, everything changing. This word, I know it's being used a lot, but it is revisionist history. It is taking something from the past and changing it to suit their needs today. It was easy to go down a rabbit hole back in the day in it. Yeah, because for as a kid, you probably didn't have the sources of having your parents buy you all the books you wanted because they're like, kid, you are crazy. We have bills, we have this and stuff like that. So that right there was an easy at hands thing to look to get further into the Star Wars galaxy. So, and many people has discussed that. Let's see here. Where did we leave off on this? Okay, so let's go ahead and let me take this down. And I want the full screen. There we go. I want to make sure I am on the one that we're supposed to be on. And I believe, yeah, we were going to leave off on Sith armor because we talked about all of this right here. So let's get to page 88. So pull out your Sith books, the Book of Sith that you may have, and turn to page 88. Now, oh, excuse me. Soul Assassin has shared a lot with me with the armor and stuff. I love Sith armor too as well. So, but the thing is about nerding out about all this fun stuff, all these nuanced things that you don't think about when you see characters dressed in them. You just think, oh, they look fucking cool, right? They look fucking cool. But this is Star Wars pre-Disney. They took, I wouldn't say the liberty, they took the passion on diving deep into what these mean, what actually they are wearing and why, and how significant it could be to their type of culture, right? Something that I'm not going to say other franchises didn't do this. They did. It's a part of world building. It's part of getting yourself immersed deeper into the lore and those cultures, I guess you can say. And it's, and so when I get a chance to talk with anybody and about this, including with you guys here or on Twitter with Soul Assassin and stuff like that, it gets so fascinating because, we hear each other's how we interpret it and how we interpret and, and something that maybe I didn't know he knew and vice versa. And expands the experience. And this is what Caf Chat's about. Soul Assassin says, all the info I get got from memory. Some others I had to look into. Yeah, and that's the thing. So we all have what we read, what we got into, and then sometimes we're like, oh shit, and we have to look it up. And that's why I'm like naming off these resources for you guys. And this Book of Sith, despite the 1,000 pages in here, fuck the bitch. This is a great, fun resource book as well. Let's see here. And that's why it's important to gatekeep. If they can revise fiction, they can revise real world history. Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, I hate this word, but I'm going to say it too. It's kind of like a grooming. It's kind of like setting up, preconditioning how you see things, right? It's not much different. Fiction, just a testing ground for a lemming and what they'll tolerate. Correct. All right. So let's close that out. All right. So the Sith armor. What do you guys know about Sith armor? I probably know that Star Wars, Marvel purist, and Soul Assassin, they know probably pretty much a lot. But those in the chat here, what do you know about Sith armor? And we're not going to get into the bullshit of the acolytes and his quote unquote helmet or whatever, his armor, or even Andor with the makeshift looking Revan Sith armor. Those are complete bullshit stuff there. They're just for Easter egg, like, oh, that looks like so-and-so's armor kind of deal. There's no validity behind that, really. Nothing whatsoever. So what do you know? All right. So let's get at this. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Coffee is actually pretty good today. I think I made a great pot of coffee. It's keeping me energized. So the caffeine's working. But the brew I put in is Tim Hortons or Timmy's. And that's the type of coffee I brewed today. And with just a little bit of sugar and some creamer. And that's it. Just enough just to give it a little bit of color. Not so much. You know, it's still kind of medium dark brown. And a little bit of sweet. Good stuff. All right. Sith armor. The war against the Jedi birthed great advances in personal combat on both sides. Armorers. And you know what? Sith or Jedi did have some armor too. If you didn't know that. Back in the day, they had their armor. So Assassin, if you want to expand a little bit more on that, if you if it's in your memory, I'm testing you now since you said I have a good memory. If you want to talk a little bit about the Jedi armor. Armorers constantly improved their wares, but lightsaber technology remained constant. By the war's end, a fully armored Jedi Padawan could face a Sith marauder and survive the first exchange. Donning armor requires understanding two things: how to kill an armored opponent and how to use armor to protect yourself from counterattack. The first comes from combat training. The second requires an understanding of the materials that can withstand a lightsaber blow while still allowing some measure of mobility of the wearer. If you are accustomed to an armored sparring, it is the best to begin with armor weave. This material incorporates a lightweight metallic mesh while maintaining the flexibility of cloth. Armor weave can be arranged to form pieces of fabric armor, or it can be worn as a cloak. It will guard against acids and flames. It can diffuse the energy of a blaster bolt, though not their kinetic impact. A lightsaber's point can burn through the armor, but it will allow you to shrug off glancing blows with a blade's edge. And let's see here. All right, Jedi always had armor, fiber weave for armbands. They'll most prefer robes of to freely move. And Star Wars Marvel Priest, if you have anything too, I'm gonna test you as well. I'm testing my 2 mods here today. They came in here to mod and they're like, oh shit, Alara's laying down some tests for us. And then Beskar Kandor. A plate armored cast from Mandalorian armor, although it is nearly impervious to a lightsaber blade, it is extremely heavy and requires the wearer to rely on strong style or Dijim. So combat Dijim So combat stance. So basically they did use the Beskar. And but I wonder not wonder. It's not a wonder. But they had to learn how to make it. How Beskar, the iron, was manipulated is very important. You had to have a skill smith, right? You had to have someone who knew how to work that iron to keep its integrity. And if you know Mandalorian culture, that is something that is a skill. That is a skill because they would make the armor so thin, but yet it's still held up against like a lightsaber. It was almost like cloth. Almost like cloth. So thinking about how they use a Beskar, the iron, the Mandalorian iron, who was putting together their armor for them. Did they have a Mandalorian? Did they pay a Mandalorian smith? Probably big money too. So very interesting right there. And I was going to say this too. Probably a Mandalorian became Sith during the Dark Era or had alliance with them. Yeah, and he's right too. The records were very scarce back then. Now, or like in the future, a lot of records were destroyed along the years. And Dijim So, Bane, and Malgus, Malgus, and a lot of Sith used. Yes. Yeah. There you go. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take another sip. All right. Let's see. Unique to the Sith is dark armor. What do you guys know about this dark armor? Dark armor. Plate armor that is infused with a dark side essence through Sith alchemy. And I'm going to read these annotations here pretty soon. These suits are rare, poured from a workshop of Sith armories during the last war. Many became prizes for battlefield scavengers. Dark armor can almost certainly be found among the black marketeers of the underworld. If one is discovered, it should be reclaimed, and those who seek to profit from our legacy should be eliminated. And you know who did that? Palpatine. Palpatine was good at uncovering these type of artifacts. And if he discovered anybody, and this even includes Jedi artifacts too, but if anybody has them, he would basically destroy. He would kill. So, or have killed. So, destroyed. So there's a little bit of history on that. And that's why a lot like the Andor scene of that museum display of different type of artifacts, including Sith, did not make sense to the lore. And on how Palpatine forbid, the collection of even Sith to Jedi artifacts. So it's not a very interesting. It is a interesting fact and something that you guys should, take note to and keep an eye on when it comes to Disney lore. All right. The shells of the obelisks are unique and impervious to lightsabers and can make a fine coat of armor. I myself had tested this bizarre panoply. These parasites breed in the tombs of Yuuzhan. If they placed on the skin, they latch on, feeding on force energy. and releasing adrenaline. Once attached, their bodies can almost never be removed. So this is Bane's experience. The protection offered by armor can be augmented with a shield held in your offhand. A shield of polished Beskar can also be used as a bashing weapon. Woo, that's brutal, huh? Its edges can be honed to razor sharpness and can be used to slice or kill. So very, very unique ways of using even shields and other things that protect you as weapons as well. And so Luke says here, cortosis is another lightsaber countermeasure, but in my experience, armor cuts you off from the sensations and the awareness of battle. I very much prefer to fight unencumbered. So this is Luke right here. And we're in the New Jedi Order, like myself, Scran, and Star Wars Marvel purists. We are all reading the New Jedi Order. I'm on book 4. I think Star Wars Marvel purist is on 2, or maybe going on 3. And I think Scran is finishing up Vector Prime. So I could be wrong. But when you get spoil alert for those who are brand new to New Jedi Order, kind of, I guess you could say. But when Luke and Mara and Tahiri and I think someone else, I forgot who was with them. I think it might be those 3. When this is after the fall of Coruscant, when they plan to evade onto Coruscant so they can figure out how they're going to liberate it from the Vong, they have the Vong armor, and but Luke refuses to wear it. And I'm going to talk about like the Mandalorian's called the crab armor. So Luke refuses to wear the living armor. It didn't feel right to him. And so he wore something that was makeshift that looked like the armor that passed off as it and stuff. So this kind of goes back to what he says here in this annotation, where Mara and Tahiri, basically wore the live crab armor, and stuff like that. So, so continuity matters, right? So Luke's like, I don't like armor. I like to be unencumbered. And that's true. And I'm pointing to the New Jedi Order because that reminds me of that situation where he's like, and it's a very fun and interesting read, that back and forth about disguising themselves as Yuuzhan Vong and we're going in wearing their armor and stuff like that. He's serious, but there's lightheartedness to this in a series that is very dark and gets more into Luke's character as well. Let me see what you guys are saying. So you can say old Palpatine was an anti-indie. They belonged in my personal collection. Yep. And then, when you had a grenade explode in your face, thanks to the suicidal soldier, you kind of want to make measures against that again, correct? And Soul Assassin says, makes you wonder how much research Freedon Nad did into the Orbalisk's armor. Had he had books on a holocron explaining how to build a mask glove to keep them away. Yeah, I forgot all about that. I'm on chapter 25 or 26 of Onslaught, but I have to familiarize myself with Vector for Saturday since the events start to blend together. Yeah, I know. I need to do that too. I was writing notes. I haven't even friggin' did my video yet. I'm so bad right now. Plus to follow of the plus for the flow of the stream. Yes. But that's the beauty of having 3 or 4 authors create a series and it still blends together like in historical events. It all comes together, ties together smoothly. That shares how well that has been written so far. And then Jack of All Casuals says, all right. And another channel member too. Sorry, I forgot to announce you as one, but all right. With transported Venom into the Star Wars universe, or who transported Venom into the Star Wars universe? That's funny. They belong to Palpatine's museum. All right. I know I've been editing the Vong story, Baba Part 1 for 3 days. Laugh out loud work and real life too insane right now. I agree. I agree. You know, that's the thing here. All right. And so what does Sidious have to say here? Orbelix torment their hosts with constant agony. A Nikto whom I train as a dark side adept could not handle the pain unless or pain understand excuse me, whoa, could not handle the pain. Useless. So he's there you go. All right, so that's a bit history on some of the, like, we didn't get fully into all the armor and stuff like that. There's so much to uncover, but that's a bit history of the Sith armor and why they use, and some of the machinations on their purposes and stuff like that, like how the shields work not only for defense but offense as well. So very interesting. All right, we have 54 people watching. Thank you guys. Please hit the like button. And anybody watching, if you want to add any more to the armor chat, feel free to right now as we're getting into dark side combat here. Dark side combat. So this right here, and I'm glad I'm going through this book the way I decided to go through here instead of just talking about things I highlighted, because then this may spark your interest on buying the book. Are coming back and using my video for personal research as well. So like for if you're going to do anything, I'm going to take this dude off here for right now. Yeah, so very, you know, and then it's also a conversation piece. So anybody else want to say anything about armor? We're moving on to dark side combat. So let's do this. Dark side combat. You are a Sith Lord, not merely a fighter who knows how to hold a blade. The Force has given you the tools to defeat your enemies. During combat, the dark side crawls beneath your skin. It electrifies the air surrounding you. If you fail to channel it during these moments, you are unworthy of the Sith title. That damn Bane. It's like, you're not worthy. There are 3 schools of focuses of force combat that channel the dark side: offense, body, and mind. Study all 3, learn which to apply during the fury of the fight, and pass on what you have learned to your apprentice. None of this is to be kept for your own benefit. Remember, the Sith order is more important than this one Sith Lord. Okay. So, offense encompasses the force skill with immediate dynamic applications for lightsaber combat. All require relatively little exertion, so they can be easily applied at any moment. Think of offense as a dagger saved in reverse for a fatal thrust. The skill of offense includes push, and Luke has this circled, so I'll get to this after I'm done reading it. A kinetic wave that emerges from your hands or head and can knock a single enemy off balance or scatter a group in all directions. So Luke annotates this and circles the push. A strong defensive technique and not necessarily one of the dark side. Knocking down opponents is always better than injuring them. Okay, there you go. And then choke. A telekinetic grip which when centered on an enemy's neck can push off airflow and snap vertebrae. Woo! This requires more concentration than the push, as well as a free hand to form the control fist. The neck is an easy target because of its soft vulnerability, but strong users of the choke can crush an entire body, including armor. So think about that. Now, I know some of you guys may have reviewed Alkali. I have seen the images of her force choking that guy, her former master, I forget his name, I don't give a shit anyways, how she was looking, her expression, how her hand was being held looked so off to how the dynamics of doing a force choke is. And I know this has already been talked about so many damn times, but this just reminded me of that situation. And people still praised it. People like these shills still praised it as something that looks official. But when you compare it to many other scenes and from live or films to even the novels and comics, it looks very off. There's a dynamic way of doing it, a dynamic expression of doing that, and you have sheer concentration, so the face should have that type of expression. Is this nitpicking? No. If you want to authentically do an expression of something that's not necessarily seen, because a force choke is not seen in action, the expressions of the intent have to look official. They have to look convincing, right? And so this is my argument to many of these shills who praise this show and its use of these force techniques. It was half-ass done. There's no quality to it. No quality whatsoever. So if you look at this picture that's on the middle of the screen, he is force choking. His expression in his hands, you can see that he's like closing his hands in as if he's wrapping it around like the vital air cords or air pathways, or maybe the vertebrae in, or all of it in the neck, right? And his concentration within his face as well. And so we have all that organically that has to convince, because you're not seeing the action, because the action is invisible. Right? So there's there's my little rant on that. So there you go. So Les Essen says, quote unquote, he uses a force to choke his underlings, Boba. Just like the old days, I kind of liked Vader, Boba. Yeah. So this is Bavine and Boba Fett talking about Jason Solo. And I just went through bloodlines. I've been going through, and like I said, when I'm reading something, I also read in other areas of Star Wars if I that's sometimes how I do it. So I just got done with Sacrifice, and then before Sacrifice, I just got done with Bloodlines, both Karen Travis's stuff, and talking about Boba Fett. And I've been and Mandalorians and stuff. There's another channel that they did a live stream saying the Fetts aren't really Mandalorians, and it's kind of funny that these guys made this live stream like hours, like not even 10 hours, not even hours after I started talking about Boba Fett and the family dynamics of the women first, and then I started talking about the men, and I haven't finished it yet. And all of a sudden, this live stream comes out after saying the Fetts aren't Mandalorian and stuff like that. So with that being said, I've been going through all of that. And then also too, just revisiting Jason as a Sith, since I'm going through New Jedi Order. So there's a method to my madness, you guys. There is. All right. So let's move on here. Where are we at? Okay. Sidious, he underlined something here. So we'll go ahead and read that. And I think, okay. Yeah, I see where I'm at. A true master of this art can burst a walker's fuel tank or buckle the hull of the of a star cruiser, and that's Darth Sidious. So there you go. That's his input on that. So now we're on page 92. So that's the third on this page here. All right. The second school of focus body encompasses those abilities that draw from the living force. They emanate from, they emanate from your own cells and affect the physical structure of others. For this reason, any cyborg limb or enhancements will hinder your ability to conjure the effects of the body. This is not your failing, it is a law of the living force. The demands of the dark side can ravage the flesh, but fortunately, it is impossible to balance the scales by siphoning life from another to bolster your own. Lightning, a weapon that calls for electrical bolts from your fingertips. It is an embodiment of your wrath that can strike at the heart of your enemy. The lightning crawls across the skin and sends surges of pain through internal organs. Sustained exposure will roast flesh, calcify the skeleton, and stop the heart. Now, I'm going to go here because the best example of someone living through this and having to slow down and get medical help was Luke Skywalker. So, Trusa Bakura, the beginning of the book is like not even hours, like it's just right after the events of the Battle of Endor. And Luke is up in Home One, I think it is, and he's in med, and he's getting rest, and they did tests and stuff. His bones are calcified, so he's not only getting medical help, but he's also doing some force healing and stuff like that. But he is put down. He is like really weak, so he's on a hover chair. And he's put down. And then, of course, events happen where they need him. And so he's like, they're like, you need to rest, Luke. And he's like, give me this rest for so many hours. I'll be okay. And I'll continue to rest in between, blah, 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 blah. But he is down. His body is in full pain. He thought his life was going to end. And that's something that, really, when you read it, I'm gonna have to pull it up on Audible if they have that. I think yeah, it's on Audible, and share it as maybe a short here on my channel. I haven't done any EU shorts like that in a while, and then also share on my Twitter. But just listening to how he felt, how it ravaged his body, and how he's recovering, like puts a huge perspective of what force lightning does to someone. Now, there is ability where you can absorb it and it not harm you, but that is one of the rare force abilities. And I think somewhere along the line, and I think maybe, I don't know if it was in the Kenobi book, not the Kenobi book by John Jackson Miller, but the Life and Legend of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's either that or in Truce of Bakura, or it could be another source. But what I'm remembering from reading more into this, Luke was taught a little about observing energy and stuff like that when he was in training with Yoda, because we see him absorbing force lightning and stuff from Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. But Luke was still not as experienced or strong in the Force to sustain that ability to save his life. Hey, Diddly Squat, how you doing? So that's an interesting thing. A little bit of interesting facts about Luke Skywalker and that, and how and why he almost died under, basically, pun intended, the hands of Palpatine. So that's something very interesting to like look into. I will find that source and I will share it with you guys here soon. All right, so let's get going on this. And I'll read Luke's annotation at the bottom here pretty soon. Convection. A convection of force energy that can make your fists hot to touch, even raise their temperature to a burning intensity, but will cause no lasting injury to you. Striking an enemy with these fists can raise blisters and set robes aflame. And cryokinesis, a siphoning of essence that leeches the life intensity from another, leaving behind a frost-shrouded corpse. So these two here, these two last ones, are very rare, not very seen, especially in not modern, but in the historical timeline, like Luke's era, this is hardly seen. Though this tactic usually causes the heat vitality of another being to hemorrhage, it is not possible to channel that vitality of your own for your own use. So two interesting things here. Oh, Dilly Squat, I forgot there's Caf Chat today. Yes, every Thursday, unless noted, but I'm glad you remembered and you are here. And then this is what Luke says here. Sith tactics do as much harm to the user as to the victim. The dark side corrupts everything it touches. It's hard to understand why people who know this choose the path anyways. Okay. Yep, the two last abilities sounds like Darth Nihilist's powers. Right, that's what I was thinking too. Some of the things that kind of like stayed with him, I guess you could say, in a sense, because that information got destroyed. And let's see here. And I think we're on the last one. No. Yes, we are. All right, the two last pages. So there's a picture that I'm skipping over. So page 94. And this isn't a long one, but we do have Sidious and Luke with some annotations here. So with force abilities for Sith, what is your favorite one out of like some of these that listed here, like lightning, conviction, and cryokinesis? Or do you have others? So let me know in the chat. Let me know. Then we're going on. So there's drain life. So before you answer, maybe you want to hear these last few. Drain life, a delicate procedure that saps the life energy of another and funnels it directly into your own essence. It is extremely difficult to employ in combat and is derived from the teachings of Zalashil, the blasphemer, in the holocron of Darth Revan. So I probably said their name wrong. I'm sorry. And then since Sidious circled the drain life, I'm going to read what he has to say here. The galaxy is choked with beings. Billions die every instant. It is better to make use of this resource. At my retreat on Biss, the life force of its colonists supplied an energy pool to sustain my dark side experiments. Wow. So basically, he used this in a sense. He used the energies to help sustain him. For not only for him, but for experiments and stuff like that. That's fucking evil. That's sinister right there. That is sinister in itself right there. All right. Death field. An unstoppable concentration of dark side energy projected from your physical animus in the shape of a sphere. Any living being entering the field will rather wither into a dry husk. It is sustained by your will, but it will try to consume you as well. So there you go. You have to, this sounds like something that you have to be very careful with, I guess you could say. Crazy shit. All right. And Conrado says that picture looks like a reaction to a hardcore fan forced to watch Acolyte by his lesbian girlfriend and her girlfriend. Nihilus is like a vampire. Yes, he is. He's in a sense a forced vampire, I guess you could say. A dark side, how he has drained people and essence and the force from a lot. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one here. Didn't Palpatine use the pyro power when he attacked that senator party in the Plagueis novel? I believe so. I think he used the power to serve one's head to, or sever one's head. Yeah, sever one's head to their shoulder. Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right on that. I have to go back. I haven't fully reread it again. Usually I reread it at least once a year or so, but I haven't this last year. I've skimmed through it because, you know, there were people talking about it, like Justin and stuff like that, but I haven't reread it. The third school of focus, mind, encompasses those abilities that draw from the unifying force. And so, do you notice the living force, unifying force, all these are the same things as the Jedi, just on the darker side, on the dark side? These operate on a different plane than the physical. They exist in the realm of thought and memory. The disciplines of mind require intense concentration and are mentally taxing. Physical strength will not help you here, only physical clarity. And that's why the Jedi is like, clear your mind, right? So mind shard, a sliver of psychic pain that is hurled from your own consciousness into your enemy's brain. Imagine that, sending some pain, like the sharp pain in from your mind to another person's. If your attack succeeds, the intense agony will leave your opponents vulnerable to a lightsaber lunge. It can be difficult to establish a mental lock, but your success will improve if the ability is used in conjunction with the verbal taunts of Dun Mach or Mooch or Mach. Dun Mach. Dun Mach. And then memory walk. A link that can open your enemy's mind and make it possible for you to compel them to relive tragic or humiliating recollections and bring forth layers of shame. Used for sustained periods, memory walk can be a sophisticated method of interrogation. The technique was stolen from the Guild of Vindicators, whose Denzine or Den. Here comes my reading impediment here. Denisians are zealous about uncovering the sins of other. Denizens. Hello, Rodimus Prime. How are you doing? And so Luke says you can use a telepathic link to calm and reassure someone too. It's a nature of the Sith to see only negative. So there you go. There you go. All right. So on the last one here, and then we're going to get into Book of the Week. Those who follow me on Twitter might have a peek or might know. Sometimes I end up sharing something that's similar to the Book of the Week. So if you catch on to my little hints here and there, you might know. All right. So here we go. Hatred. A method of focusing your inner fire so that it can be stoked with outrage, disgust, and fear until it burns with white-hot intensity. When smashed, this furnace will radiate hatred from you in palpable waves that can send another's mind into catatonia. And then Sidious says, like most tactics of mental combat, this works best against the weak-minded. There you go. And horror, a simple mental manipulation that can raise fear in the mind of another. By amplifying this primal emotion, you can trigger horror and eventually insanity. An afflicted target will be too haunted to raise any defense. And then Cruciatorn, a technique that makes it possible to detach one's mind from coarse sensation. The secret to overcoming physical pain lies in the non-physical. A master of this technique can endure any torture and withstand any injury. So, Quinlan Voss states here, thought this was a Jedi technique. At least that's what Master Koth told me. So the next one we're going to skip over. It's called Wild Power. And this is just all about the Night Sisters, and it goes into Dathomir, and it goes into how not all the Night Sisters, not everybody from Dathomir use dark side powers. So I don't know why. And they're not considered Sith. So I don't know why this is such a big, huge section of the book. But it is. It is. So with that being said, I am going to skip over this wild power insertion of this because Mother Talzin, whatever, she's not a Darth. What the fuck? She is not a Sith. If you're going to put other dark side societies, then in a Sith book, then do it prospectively, respectfully, and add them. Because there are other dark force societies. If not, keep it strictly Sith. So we are going to skip all the way next week to Absolute Power, and this is by Darth Sidious. So we're going to get into his. We're not going over Wild Power. To me, that doesn't make sense. It's bullshit. So why have it? Why have it? So let's see here. What do you guys say? And the dude's reaction should be a thumbnail to everything bad on his favorite franchise. Oh no! Master what? And let's see here. I think Zana used that power against the mercenaries that brought her to the rebel leader. Yes, she did. You are correct, sir. And because of Filoni and the feminists are into black magic covens, apparently. Well, witches are a part of the Star Wars lore, so I give them that because we have the Dathomirian witches, but it's not necessarily like witches of our reality, of our world. They still use the Force. And that's their quote unquote power. The Talzin is no different than the lesbian witches. Well, they're linking. Oh, no, never mind. I'm not gonna go. Thinking about a different one. And let's see here. The sorcerers of Tund would have been better choice than Night Sisters. I agree. I forgot about them. So thank you for reminding me about them. All right. So with that being said, next week we're going to get into Sidious's portion of the book, which I'm looking forward to because this is where you start seeing the rule of two shift and change in a sense. I don't know how many of you guys agree with me, but with Sidious, absolute power, he starts to shift slowly away from the rule of two, even though it's established there and there's only him and his apprentice Vader. You start seeing that shift in a sense in his machinations and what he wants and how he only wants to be the only ruler kind of deal. Does this foreshadow the one Sith? And this is where I wish they would have put the one Sith in here. That's the only, instead of putting this fucking Mother Talzin bullshit, where is the one Sith? Where is the one Sith? That should be something. That would have been magnificent. This came out, after Legacy. I'm thinking that, yeah. So why didn't they include the one Sith? Where we could have got a glance of where Darth Krayt was going with his one Sith and his machinations of how he sees and uses the Force and how he establishes, the hierarchy of power, I guess you could say. Because I don't care. Every Sith society, every Sith faction, I guess you could say, had a hierarchy of power. No matter what you're going to call it. It's just how they ruled and how they applied and how they got everybody involved and stuff was different. And let's see here. And let me see here. Rodimus says, "Oh, gee, somebody told me that back in the day, Star Wars fans hated Jason Solo. Is that true?" No, it's not true. Sidious was becoming the rule of one before Crate. In a sense, yeah, that's how I see that, because he was looking at himself for being in power forever, right? And the rule of one, the rule of two, the rule of many. Because historical, the one Sith comes after. That's what I mean. It should be after, instead of having Talzins here between Bane and Sidious, it should completely leave out Talzins, and then after Sidious's, have the one Sith in there. The one Sith. And let's see, even Jedi Codebook was Rosario Dawson, was or has. Is that what you're trying to say? Let's see. Sidious is slowly betraying Bane's legacy. Correct. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. And so leave the Talzin part out, have Sidious's part, and then after that, have the one Sith there to show how. Because this is not just about the rule of two. This is basically Sith history in a sense, and how they evolved. And Talzin and the Night Sisters don't belong in here. Now, if you wanted to do dark side, because dark side users are not Sith. And so I don't know why she's in here. But the one Sith are Sith. You can even put the Lost Tribe of the Sith, which is another story in itself. If you want to just do different Force societies and how they evolved and changed throughout the years, right? So this is my huge gripe with this book, is about that. Be true to what this is, the Book of Sith. It's not a book about dark side users. It's a Book of Sith, and they should be distinguished from them, including the Night Sisters. You know. So with that being said, I'm done with my rant. Yes, the Book of Sith was first released in 2012. Yes, and so and Legacy came out before then, I believe. I mean, there might be some stories that came out too during that year, but so it was very close in publishing between the two, but you still have an inkling to what the one Sith was about, to establish, you know, that history of Crate in there, because you have him being tortured by the Vong and by Vergere. You have him, you know, his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi too, that which probably is another reason why he vectored off the way he did. You know, so you have all of that. You have him in Legacy, who was in the background watching, right? And you have his one Sith also in the background watching in Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi. And so you have all of those little hints of that, and his one Sith being created. Rodimus says, my friend who told me that says Jason Solo was probably exaggerated by saying that everybody hated him. Yeah, well, no. Everybody loved the character and still continue to love Jason Solo even as Darth Caedus. It made it more tragic, I guess you can say. A chapter on the Rakata are followers of Bogan during the Force Wars. So many opportunities for more chapters on the dark side through the Star Wars timeline, correct? All right. So here's your chance now to go refresh your drinks, go to the restroom or what have you. We are going to get into the book of the week and then get into Cringe Factor. So go ahead and do what you need to do, or hang out with me and wait.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
I hate to say it, but it looks like
Story.
the you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
All right. He's the most feared and successful bounty hunter in the galaxy. He is Boba Fett, and even the most hardened criminal tremble at his name. Now he faces the deadliest challenges of his infamous career, an all-out war against the most dangerous enemies. As the rebellion gathers force, Prince Xizor processes a cunning plan to the Emperor and Darth Vader. Smash the power of the Bounty Hunters Guild by turning its members against each other. Only the strongest and the most ruthless will survive, and they can be used against the rebellion. It's a job for the fiercely independent Boba Fett, who jumps at the chance to destroy his rivals. But Fett soon realizes the game is rigged, as he finds himself the target of murderous factions, criminal conspiracies, and the evil of the Empire's dark heart. Boba Fett has always finished first, and in this game, anything less is death. Here you have it. Book 1 of the Bounty Hunter Wars, The Mandalorian Armor. This is by K.W. Jeter. The cover artist, Stephen Yoel. Paperback came out in June 1998. And the timeline for this book, but then for the whole series, is from 0 ABY to 4 ABY. I'll just put 0 here because it's the first book. But when you get into the history of this whole trilogy, I'm only recommending the first one first. But this whole trilogy, the timeline is from 0 to 4 ABY. And so this is the book of the week. I've been on this thing about Boba Fett for whatever reason for the last couple of weeks. Continuity notes, not much. We'll get into more as I recommend more of the installments of this series. Book 1 of the trilogy. This begins during the events of Return of the Jedi. As the events unfold, it goes through time periods from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back. Prince Xizor from Shadows of the Empire is in this novel. So here you go. So we have a little bit of continuity flow here with who's in the book, what's going on, things that happen within the timeline that goes with the movies and stuff like that. And of course, Boba Fett's character and how he likes to work alone. And this book, very fascinating for how he carries out everything and what he discovers and all this. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but this is the book of the week. I hired Simon Kingbird to produce Trilogy. Oh, you and your jokes. Follow me on Twitter. And then you've been jocosted. Yep. Yeah. So book of the week here, The Mandalorian Armor, Bounty Hunters War. Who has read this book? Who has read this book? Ooh, excuse me. Huh. Anybody? Going once, going twice. No, I'm just kidding. But we have 66 people watching and tuning in. Or to 66. Thank you guys for watching. I had to say something because I seen the numbers. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. You know, in the audibles, when you listen to some of the original lore audibles of the EU, you know, they have that in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away introduction of the books and stuff. I need to clip that and put that into my into when I start to show the introduction video. So intro video, I guess you could say. I forgot all about using that, but I might redo my opening video for you guys and put that in there because I think that's a very fun thing to do. I'm just nerding out on that. That's all. And Jag did. I know you have a lot to say about Boba Fett and within the time frame I've been talking about him and stuff. So thank you for your contribution and your knowledge. I don't think I have. Well, okay. So this right here. You can read this and then you can go into it is Shadows of the Empire that's next in the timeline here. So you could read this and go into Shadows if you wanted to, but the series hops between kind of hops through the timeline of the OT, which is cool. So, and yeah. All right. So let's get into our cringe factor here pretty quick, and then we'll conclude the show here. So cringe factor, are you guys ready for that? Do you guys have your drinks ready, your snacks and stuff? Let's get to this. So Rodimus says, where can I get the Bounty Hunter War trilogy for a cheap price? You can get it at thrift books, I believe, without the Legends banner. Usually you can. When you go to thrift books, they still do sell books that has the Legends banner. But I would, go to thrift books first before you go to Amazon or eBay or any of those sources there. So, but yeah, I highly recommend, if you can, find the books without the Legends label. All right, let me go ahead and take this off the screen here. And let's start getting into, whoops, wrong button. Where is it at? Oh, there we go. All right. And I changed my background color. It's all black. It's all dark. It's dark in here. All right. So cringe factor. Let's get into that. And where is my clips for that? Let me play another commercial since I mentioned it.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
So uncivilized.
All right. Oh my God. What happen if I take this black screen off again, huh? All right. And stop that. There we go. I thought I had that on there already. So here we go. We are into our cringe factor after my little mix up of buttons and stuff. If you have StreamYards and stuff, they've been slowly updating, improving their stuff, but then I'm still getting used to where everything is at and what to press and trying to make it more streamlined for myself. So with this being said, we are getting into our cringe factor. Jag says Barnes & Noble's had a leather back edition of the Bounty Hunter Wars a while back. There might be a more of the original trilogy volume available because of that. Yeah, I think that's still Disney, but I mean they have it to where it looks like it's historical print, I guess you could say, with the leather and the leather hardcover leather book and the metallic coloration around the book and stuff. I forgot what they call that. I'm sorry. I'm coming to a loss with that. So yeah. So, but if you're looking for something that's not giving money to Disney, then I would try to find just the originals. But if you want that aesthetic, I guess you could say, you're still contributing to Disney by buying it. So that's totally up to you. All right. With that being said, Star Wars just dropped a massive hint how Ahsoka's story will end and set up a future beyond anything George Lucas imagined. What do you think that is? Well, if you have been following me, you might know what it is, and you might know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me get out of this here. There we go. And let's see here. If the EU was never canon, then why is there a commercial saying that it's canon, right? I know, Rodimus. I hear you. But, you know, people that are anti-EU will just cover their eyes or their ears, depending on the circumstances, and then to defend Disney and stuff and what they did to toss the E out and say, it's never canon. You know, and then they will, you know, dry hump the Starlog quote of George Lucas, even though the company has corrected the statement. You know, people don't realize that when people go into interviews, the interviewer takes liberty on writing and typing out the interview and then making it sound like you said something different than what you meant. So they change your words around. And that's very common in journalism, to them misalign what you were saying. And that's why, you know, like George's company, Lucasfilm, has corrected statements in the past, because it's a misalignment into what the company stands for and what the company's doing with their lore and stuff. And people don't realize that. And then they think they associate George as just by himself, you know, and stuff, and that, you know, and that he's not necessarily tied to the company. So the company can't correct statements of his or whatever. So it's quite funny with that, you know, and companies, when they correct their boss's statements and stuff like that, they have to get approval. They have to be approved for that, or then that shows that the company isn't aligned with the initial mission of the creator, I guess you can say. And a $10 super chat by one of my channel members, Abu Nas. My favorite is Darth Bane trilogy, but I'm still on the lookout for Andor. Okay, so if you could see me, I'm flipping you off. The one where Moff Tarkin gets his freak on with the subordinates. I know, I am so uncivilized giving Disney money. Oh my God. Well, thank you for giving me money to insult you. You know, so it looks like you just paid to get insulted. Oh my God. Abu Nas comes in just to get me triggered with $10, but thank you for the $10. All right. All right, so let's get into this. Okay. I have a glare. Where am I positioned at? I have a window behind me. I need to rethink this little arrangement here because it's kind of glaring off my screen a little bit. So with that being said, new information surrounding the story of Ahsoka hints that the Star Wars TV show will be the first step in evolving the galaxy past anything George Lucas could have ever envisioned. So what do you think that is? Let's get into this. Ahsoka Season 1 shocked the audience by taking its story to another galaxy for the first time in Star Wars history. Well, you can say, even though Camino is a star system out in the wild space, it's near the issue maze or whatever it's called. I probably got it wrong. And let me see. I'm going to look it up real quick. It's okay. Rishi maze. Rishi. See, I knew I said that wrong. So it's a close proximity to the Rishi maze, which is a dwarf satellite galaxy next to the Star Wars galaxy, I guess you could say. So, not saying that George never took his story outside the galaxy of Star Wars. He brought people into the galaxy. But we'll get into that. And I'm not saying the fans as readers. I'm talking about other species. Okay? All right. So Star Wars history, with the latter half of its story taking place primarily on the extra-galactic planet of Peridia. I think I said that right. Thanks to the Purgle space wells. Oh, yeah. You know, here we go. And the exile of both General Admiral Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. They weren't exiled. They were forced to, like, they were commandeered by the space. They were taken away. They weren't exiled. Thrawn was not exiled. You know, he was captive to those space whales, and they took him into hyperspace and out of the galaxy, apparently. So I don't know why this dolt, and this is Molly Breisel. So Molly Breisel is the one here who's contributing to this. And I don't really think she's read Star Wars, like past or pre-Disney, to understand what she's going to be talking about here. So let's see here. So one woman to another, sweetheart. Do your fucking research, and you'll see why I'm saying this. You make us female fans look like idiots, okay? So you're not a good representative, but we'll get into some more here. The new book, Star Wars Bestiary, or the Bestiary, Volume 1, Creatures of the Galaxy by S.T. Bendy, discusses a creature native to the extra-galactic planet of Perida, Howlers. So many of you guys thought this was going to be something else, right? The book suggests that its writer, a scientist named Artis Santeca, Santeca, sounds kind of familiar, right? Has knowledge of the fact that this species is indeed extra-galactic. Okay, so are you trying to say, Miss, what's your name again? Molly? Molly, that this is the first time ever that an extra-galactic species has been introduced to the galaxy? This is something he would only know if the story of Peridia was in fact not legend. And given the fact this book is written for the events of Star Wars, The Rise of Palpatine in universe, so we're talking about Disney Star Wars lore, not original lore, then it must be the case that Ahsoka and Sabine both make it back home. Okay. The scientists, such as Artis Santeca, treats Peridia, or whatever, and its creature as fact rather than legend, and it stands to reason that Peridia has indeed been accepted as an extragalactic world by the rest of Star Wars galaxy. Knowledge of this world would no doubt encourage explorers to follow this location and travel there. First of all, how are they going to follow it? Are they going to hop on some of those space whales? Because coordinates were never set. Well, if the writers are fucking smart, which I doubt it, then Ahsoka would have mapped the coordinates as she was traveling inside the space well. But, you know, I'm probably giving them ideas now. All right, so to find this place doesn't mean that she has, and does, you know, so anyways, I'm going into another whole area of this. I'm going to come out of it. Whether it be their own curiosity or hopes of finding something valuable that no one else has. Either way, one glaring truth has arisen from the fact Star Wars is no longer bound to the single galaxy Lucas created. That is fucking a lie. I am in the not in the middle, but I'm in the beginning portion, like 1/4 of the trilogy, coming up on 1/4 of the trilogy probably. And that trilogy, or not trilogy, that series is New Jedi Order. That series lets us know that there are other galaxies that exist beyond the Star Wars galaxy. However, once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, that alone lets us know that there are other galaxies within the Star Wars universe. That simple quote that begins the movies, that also begins like some of the books that we read, that also begins the audibles to these books, shares that galaxy of Star Wars is not the sole galaxy of the universe. So again, Miss Molly, You make us women fans look like idiots for not doing your fucking research. Because then you would know those two simple facts, among others, and Thrawn and his species, the Chiss, gearing up to protect themselves, which would protect the Star Wars galaxies from extra-galactic, insurgents from other areas, I guess you can say. So let's move on. It seems as if Ahsoka and its extra-galactic world are only the first steps in a much larger endeavor to push the envelope on the Star Wars galaxy. New Jedi Order pushed that envelope. It did. There are only so many wide-scale galactic conflicts that can occur as stories go on. There's a lot. And again, the New Jedi Order shares that. Extra-galactic threats and even outbound flight. If you guys read Outbound Flight, you know that, in unknown regions where the Chiss Alliance is at, they are, combating threats that are from the unknown regions and beyond. But it is hard for people to get in and out of the Star Wars galaxy. And I don't remember what that barrier is called, but there's a certain barrier that's hard for people to cross and navigate through. And so the Vong, they found ways. And so it's called Vector Prime. They found a way through where they came through the Vector Prime, where they easily got through. But they also had people planted and surged, within like years and years before they came through. So with that being said, this has already been explored a long time ago. No one was taken out of the galaxy, but they were brought in. But by simply saying that this has never been done on either side of the coin is a fallacy. I agree. No one was taken out of the galaxy to another galaxy, but it is known that they exist. Other galaxies within the Star Wars galaxies exist. Now, let me see what you guys are saying. Abu says, she's in a mood today for sure. Somebody in Disney better be careful. Yeah. We also see in a map shown on the PT 2 other satellites in the galaxy around the main one. Correct. Oh no, not the hyper farting space whales. Yeah, right. Let's see here. The Legends gal is getting a little bit tasty. Or tasty. Jeez. Thrawn ate 1,000 Twitter birds to survive. I don't know what that is about. Thrawn was on sabbatical. Yeah, he was on sabbatical. And let's see here. Oh my god, you guys are hilarious. Let's see here. Tarkin getting his freak on is something I didn't need either. Tarkin was basically with Dala. So that was his love, I guess you could say, or his fling, or whatever you want to call them. Darth Bane trilogy goat. And let's see here. All right. The Western Barriers. I don't remember the name. I don't remember if it's called Western Barrier or not. So I have to look into that. I'll have to look into that. All right. So let's get back into this conversation, into this bullshit of an article. Okay. There are only so many whites. Okay. I already read this. I'll read the bold. Extra-galactic threats would be a perfect way to freshen up what came after the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So this is what I wanted to get at. With Rey's new order on the horizons, seems likely that the story could make use these extra-galactic elements, and Ahsoka was working to set this possibility up. Again, New Jedi Order. Molly, have you read this shit? It's like it's going over your fucking head. They're calling Rey's trilogy, Rey's story, New Jedi Order. extragalactic threats has already been occurring pre-Disney, and it's even before the Vong was introduced. So it's like the shit's going over this woman's head like she just came into Star Wars like yesterday, not realizing like there's the Vong and there's that whole extragalactic threat of the new Jedi Order that's established. The series is called New Jedi Order. Holy fucking shit. I mean, I'm seriously like laughing at this shit. The ignorance of this woman. Let's see who she is. And let's see her biography here. Oh my God. It's like Disney did it first. George never thought of this. Did she not fucking realize too? Like, did her fucking research that George had major say of the plot points and stories in the New Jedi Order? Oh my God. Okay, so Molly. Good golly, Miss Molly. Let's see here. Editor. Expertise, Mandalorian, Star Wars, The Bad Batch, Din Djarin. That's all. That's all. That's all she fucking knows. That's all she knows. Her expertise is Disney, Mandalorian, and The Bad Batch. That's it. That's all. And she's fucking ignorant. And she has a bachelor's degree in writing and communication, minor English, but she couldn't fucking do her research. She could not do her research. This is just embarrassing. Molly works with the Star Wars team, drawing upon her lifelong love of the franchise. Full fucking shit! Lifelong? How old is she? A love of the franchise that only grows more and more over the years. While she loves every part of Star Wars, her areas of speciality within the vast and beyond the galaxy include the Mandalorian, the Bad Batch, and of course the Halcyon Galactic. Oh my God. Lifelong. Yet she fails to know that there was already an extragalactic threat and that the Star Wars is one galaxy in the universe it exists in. I mean, the title, like that, that first introduction title, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That doesn't give you a fucking clue. You never read the New Jedi Order, and it's like going over your head about the Rey movie or movies being called New Jedi Order. What a this that's all I gotta say. Let's see here. Malcolm said in he. I don't know what that's about. I'll have to go scroll up. Smash the like button, you guys. I had to show that again because that's hilarious. All right. We also see a map shown. Yeah, I've seen that one already. And yep, Western Barrier, AO. Okay, here we go. Ben Solo says, Ben Solo, what the hell? Hello, Ben Solo. What are you doing? I bet the Suma Vermouth eats Purgle space wells. Holy fucking shit. I need to get this t-shirt. Stay in your lane, Mando. Okay. Okay, Matt Wilkins said in he. I don't know what that's about. And okay, good. It's letting me press the might use the Jedi Order trilogy to kill R2D2 and C3PO. Oh my God, that would be so sad. But in a reality, like Legacy, I think Legacy our C3PO was killed. Maybe killed, quote unquote, killed or taken apart. Matt Wilkins said in he. I don't know what's going on with this and what you're trying to say here. All right, I wonder is the barrier or the hyperspace turbulence? There's all kinds of anomalies in it. I'll have to look it up and share it. We might have to talk about that in lore talk. So in coming up lore talk. So there you guys go. So this is it. Again, another George didn't think about it. Disney Star Wars has done it first kind of bullshit. Now, I mind you, going to another planet outside of the galaxy, I'll give you that. Camino is still within the wild space of the galaxy, I guess you could say. And it's like in between the Rishi Maze, which is another close galaxy to the Star Wars galaxy. So you could kind of say Camino could be extra-galactic. In fact, that's what some people call it in the Star Wars universe itself, is that some people call Camino an extra-galactic planet. So there you go. So we can go with that lore, because the lore also says within its own confines, its own continuity, that Camino is extra-galactic because it's not fully inside the borders or confines of the galaxy. And it's in between two galaxies, its system is. So there we go in with that. So even with that, you can vaguely say that George has thought about that with the Camino and looking for where the dark came from and stuff, and that's why, like, I don't like my my book of the week clip. Basically, I covered up where it shows Obi-Wan looking at where the possibilities, where the planet can be or the system can be at in wild space. And you can see it's in between the Star Wars galaxy and the Rishi Maze, the galaxy that's next to it, the neighboring galaxy. So there you have it. All right. Matt Wilkins said that George Lucas said the Shadow of the Empire, he would go gone back and make the movie Shadows of the Empire. Is that true? Yeah, there's truth to that. There's truth to that. Matt Wilkins said George. Okay. Yeah. All right. So there you go. Another bullshit person who doesn't do the research, says they've been a long-time fan since their lifetime, since they're born, whatever she said, but yet failed to realize that there has already been an extra-galactic threat within the galaxy. Pre-Disney. Pretending like this is the first time it's ever been done, and George Lucas never thought of anything like that. It's almost like I feel like I'm revoking someone's fan card here in a sense, because you're full of shit, Molly. You are. So there you go. What do you guys think? What I find the craziest, like, and Soul Assassin does contribute to this, and he has contributed to some bullshit, like crazy ash cringe articles too. And mind you, if you guys find something that qualifies for Cringe Factor, an article, it doesn't have to be Screen Rat. Send it to me. Send it to me. If it qualifies enough, then yes, and I'll give you credit for it. I'll point the finger to you, say, go, this is so cringe. So and so contribute to it. Blame them. No, I'm joking. But yeah, this right here, it's like sometimes it's even to call out these writers for these pop culture sites on who they really are. And maybe she's the ghostwriter for Star Wars Theory. No. I'm not going to give her that much credit. She doesn't even know what the Vong are and stuff. But maybe, who knows? What do you guys think? Anyways, don't send it to her. Drink brown milk. Chocolate. Let's see here. I drink brown. Okay, let's see here. I try. Revoke the fan card. But it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to us female fans. Because we're not idiots. Well, I'm not an idiot. I may make mistakes. And I own up to my mistakes. I do. Like the Star Weirds. I didn't recall the name, but once I realized who they were, their appearance, I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's who they are. So I totally forgot about the name, but I still think the name is stupid. But that's just me. That's just me. But anyways, so here you have it. A lifetime fan. So basically the turbulence and the hyperspace tangle that doesn't have a real space equivalent to the locate outside the galaxy. So maybe it's that barrier. The barrier there is the tingle something, the tingle barrier. I don't know. I have to look it up. And we may talk about that. It may be a secondary part of a lore talk, but we are getting into. So let's go ahead and recap. Let me take this bullshit off the screen. All right. Hello, everyone. So getting into the last part of this book here, and it is Sidious's absolute power contributions to the Book of Sith And so we'll get into that. It'd probably be broken up into two parts because I don't like to get too, do too much because we have other things that we're talking about here on Caf Chat. So be prepared for that. Getting into Sidious's contribution and talking more about the rule of 2 per Sidious. Like I said, I wish they would have put the one Sith and left out Talzin's bullshit, but what can you do, right? And then, of course, Cringe Factor next week. Lucas Facts, any Star Wars news? I didn't research anything other than talking about what Ian McCaig said and discussing how what he said doesn't align with, historical sources that of the Phantom Menace. So that is a totally in question. And I recommend you guys all to question everything, especially now that these people are saying something that they should have said a long time ago. It should have been a focus under George. Why are they saying it now? Question it all, because there's usually an alternative motive when things like that happen. And so my it's like alarm goes off in my head. Something seems off here. Why is this being said now? Let's look into this. And so be on the lookout for any type of Star Wars news too. Let me know. Because I don't mind talking about that in short, but it's all about the lore here. It's all about, talking about the book of the week. It's all about Lucas Facts and then getting and making fun of the Cringe Factor bullshit. And some of this news can be Cringe Factor. It doesn't have to be articles from these pop culture sites like Screen Rant. It could be a news, what's going on now, like the so-called Civil War going on at Lucasfilm, which is bullshit. So with that being said, thank you guys for hanging out with me and going through the lore, chatting and all that. We have 66 beautiful souls here. Thank you again for tuning in. And may the force be with you. And before we leave, tomorrow night, the spacing, I will be there. Last Friday, I was down, so I didn't make it on. I didn't even finish watching the stream to keep in the know with what was being said on the spacing last week. I have to rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it yet. But the spacing tomorrow night, I should be on. So catch us there, 8:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I just don't know what time I'm going to be popping on or what time Tim's going to start to stream. He's extremely busy with work, so sometimes the stream starts a little later than what is scheduled. So I'll catch you there. And tonight, I think Casual Raid should be going on. So check that out. Casual Raid tonight. You'll probably find me in the chat. I usually end up coming in late towards the end by my mistake. I get busy and forget and then go hop on in as soon as I can. And there's other interesting developments on another show I'll be on, and I'll get more into that as soon as we start announcing it. So stay tuned for other announcements of other shows that I'm going to be on. So keep that in mind. And you're like, what's that about? It's still going to be Star Wars related, of course. But we'll give you more information to that. And I don't think there's anything else I have to report other than I am going to be putting my notes together. I put notes together already for Vector Prime, but I haven't finished. I need to do my reread review. I want to talk about things that maybe hardly anybody talks about for the book. Some interesting facts that I might find. So stay tuned for that. And then stay tuned for some EU shorts. I want to start bringing that back onto the channel so that you guys have little clips of audible history of Star Wars novels and what's going on with characters and events and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. And with that being said, thank you guys again for contributing to the channel as subscribers, as members, and always returning to have fun and nerd out about George Lucas's era of Star Wars. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. And as always, may the force be with you.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story in continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Another happy landing.